Welcome back, our dear viewers. Indeed, a very important thing that did happen last week, which is the kicking off of the long-awaited national dialogue with several political forces, civil society organizations, professional and labor unions, as well as public figures participating to discuss key political, economic and social issues. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed his support for the national dialogue, vowing to provide all the means to ensure its success and to activate its outcomes within a framework of democracy and effective political participation. Sisi called on the participants to work for the success of the dialogue and to find solutions to the nation's challenges. The opening of the national dialogue comes a year after President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi called in April 2022 for a dialogue between the political forces without exception or discrimination to find common ground on priority of the political, social and economic issues. To shed more light on this very important dialogue, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Mr. Latif Wahba, our journalist and Ministerial Council Affairs. Good morning, Mr. Wahba.
Good morning.
Sir, what are the most important issues discussed in the national dialogue that kicked off last Wednesday?
As you know, that there are many trajectories on the agenda of the national or Egyptian national dialogues, especially the economic sectors, the political aspects at the same time, and also how to push the people and all the components of the Egyptian society to participate in the dialogue and to recommend to this to discuss all the political issues, also economic, social, cultures, and so on that face the Egyptian society, and also how to deal with the challenges we are facing just now. As you know, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, during his speech, his televised speech during the inaugurations of the last sessions, he said that the invitations to the national dialogue launched during the Egyptian family iftar comes from a firm belief that the Egyptian nation owns all the capabilities and the potentialities that provided with multiple alternative to find pathways for progress in all areas. And also he reiterated that the growing challenge facing the Egyptian state at all levels have strengthened, as he said, his determination to hold a dialogue. So we saw that all the political parties, all the public figures, and also staff of the Egyptian universities and youths and the civil society and so on participated in the dialogue.
Yes.
All issues can be discussed, and all the political issues also are opened for discussions. And the main characteristics of the Egyptian national dialogue is it has the power of inclusions for all the political parties in Egypt and for all members of the Egyptian society.
Indeed. Sir, what is the significance and goals of the national dialogue?
Yeah, of course. As you know, that the main issues is the political and the economic situations just now, because he asked all the participants in the dialogue to discuss and to recommend, and at the same time to put solutions from their own point of view. And you know that all these recommendations and opinions, even if it is a personal opinions or political parties' point of view and so on, will be raised to a president, and he can choose, and he can decide after the end of all the negotiations. And at the same time, as you know, that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the government committed to declare all the approved points to be applied in directly after the Egyptian national dialogues.
Indeed. Sir, the dialogue actually has three tracks: the political, the economic, and the social. Would you please highlight the most important issues to be tackled in these three tracks, the most pressing issues that should be discussed and having a priority to be discussed from your point of view, Mr. Wahb?
Yeah, of course, as you know that now, in this current time, Egypt, as many countries in the area or the global, they face some economic challenge. And as you know that these challenges came from the world crisis of the war between, for example, Russia and Ukraine.
Yes.
Also, the stagflations raised all over the world. So you have to take some steps and the solutions to face the imposed inflation and the imposed economic crisis that we suffer just now. So all the political parties, and as you said, and also our economic experts in Egypt, they can put their recommendations on how to face the current economic situations. And as you know that Egypt applied economic reform program during the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
How can we discuss it if can be readjusted, or we can contain in applying the other principles of this economic reform and structural reform at the same time?
Yes. General Coordinator of the Dialogue, Diya Arashwan, said that the Egyptian, Arab and foreign media are invited to cover the National Dialogue opening session. How do you view the keenness of Egypt here and the coordinator of the National Dialogue that is giving a great concern here to the importance of the whole world witnessing our national dialogue and its importance? What message here do we see?
Yeah. I think the most important message to the others, I mean, to the foreign countries and so on. Let us say first that all the discussions are going on or are going live and broadcasted in Egyptian TVs and
Yes.
so and satellites and so on. This is one. But as the Egyptians are interested in
Yes.
this national dialogue, I think also some foreign countries and the Arab countries and so on are interested also to hear
Of course.
the conclusions of the dialogue, how Egypt will face or will face all the economic, political challenges and so on. It is important at the same time to get a message for the other for the foreigners. I think that we are interested in attracting the direct investment even from the Arab and the European countries and so on. So I think it is a positive message for the foreigners for themselves.
Yes. Also, the president called for a national dialogue that brings together all the political forces without any discrimination, except for those who were involved in violence and violent acts over the past years. What's your take on that, Mr. Wahba?
Yeah, of course. Who will take care of his country in current time or in the coming futures?
Yes.
I think the people who did their efforts during the last years to preserve our nations, to face terrorism, who faced tourism at the same time, who faced the economic problems. So it is worth saying or to say that all the parties in the opponents before the supporters are invited to participate in the dialogue.
Yes. Mr. Wahba, how do you see the activities and the discussions of the national dialogue until this moment?
Until this moment, I think it is a positive negotiations.
Yes.
Even if there is differences or there are differences in some point of views.
Very normal indeed.
Yeah, it is normal. And if there is no differences in point of views, it is not a national dialogue. So you can conclude the most important point of views, even from the opponents, from the political parties, and also from the supporter of the national dialogue. This will lead you to the heart of the matter, to the core of the matter. So it will be useful for the Egyptian society to know all the positive and the negative sides.
Sir, from your point of view, what was the most important point tackled so far? Or set of points?
The political and also the economic situations. This is are the most important just now. As you know that there is a problem not only in Egypt but all over the world.
Yeah.
So it is urgent to deal with these both aspects, the economic situations and the political situations at the same time. I think it will be good for the Egyptians, for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to get all the recommendations and to conclude the most important element to be applied after the national dialogue.
Indeed. Mr. Abdel Latif Wahba, journalist and ministerial council affairs, thank you so much for your precious input. Our dear viewers, with that we come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. With a quick recap, we talked about the ranking of Egypt as top in the scientific research in the African continent, and we discussed the national dialogue which started last Wednesday in Egypt with the participation of the different parties and the representatives from NGOs, political parties, unions, political figures and public figures, with the aim of reaching agreements and point of view for the sake of Egypt on the political, economic and social levels. Our dear viewers, with that we wrap up today's edition of The Breakfast Show, brought to you by myself, Mahisti Rabia. Till tomorrow is another quiz. Goodbye. Have a lovely day.